Hey, well, thanks, Ben, for agreeing to show me around. This is my first show, and I was wanting to learn how to do a program log. I was wondering if you could show me around.
All right. Well, we use entirely digital program logs at CKXU. So what you'll need to do is you've got to access them from either of the two computers in either booth 1 or booth 2 when you're doing your show or before your show. So you're going to have to open up Opera as a web browser because Opera is the web browser that supports the DJ portal. So let's do that now. And the home page will automatically be set to ckxuradio.su.uleft.ca, which is the location of our DJ portal. And from there, you'll need to select digital program logs. Okay, so what you're going to need to do from here is use the username and password that you have been provided. Okay, this is the screen that you're going to see next, and the options available: new program log, you can view program logs, you can view other DJs and other programs. You're going to need to open up the new program log, though.
Okay. Oh.
Is this take two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Take two.
Okay,
so the next page that you're going to see, McKay, is this new program log information entering page. Mm-hmm. So you've got information there like the date that it's going to air, the airtime, what program, the name of your show program, a brief description of what your show is about or what kind of show it is, and whether it's timeless or pre-recorded, and if so, the record date for that timeless pre-record. So a couple things that you want to note about this: the air date and the air time, of course, will be the time that show is going to air. So if you're going on the air live, you'll put in the current date and the time that you begin your show at. You're going to select program next, which is a field that you have to require. For training purposes, we'll select the training program, and you can also use the training program at any time to just play around with the digital program logs and see how they work if you're curious about doing that. Now, the description can include things like if you have a special guest on your show, if there's a live performance, if there's a theme to your show, or if it's a pre-recorded show that you want to play on a specific day and time, or if it's a timeless show, you can also enter that in there. And then you can also select timeless and pre-record. You can check that box and enter in the date that you recorded it. So what you want to note about the record date and the air date and the air time is that the record date should always indicate the date that you recorded that pre-record. The air date and the air time should reflect the first time that it's played, but if it's a timeless, you might not know the first time your show is going to be played. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to enter in a time that your show is at normally, because there can't be more than one program log for one show at a specific time. But you also don't want to put in the current time that you're doing this, because our online stream pulls information from the program logs to show online what is being played on the radio right now. So if you put in the current date and time and you start doing a program log and you're not actually on the air, that could screw up our online.
It'll think that I'm online.
It'll think that you're actually on the radio right now, and then it'll put that information online. So just pick an air date and an air time, preferably in the past and not the current time, and not a time that your show would ever be at. Okay. Is that relatively clear?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then if I'm doing a show live, I would just put
and then if it's live, you put the actual air date and air time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that all makes sense.
From there, you submit. This is the new program log page as it'll appear once you've generated a new log. And the information on this page is everything that you need to do your show, and it's got all of the fields that are required for reporting. So you've got information here like what the classification of your show is. This is the training program, so it says specialty, but it might also say things like if you're a talk show, spoken word, or what genre of music you play, everything from eclectic, classical, punk rock, metal, every genre you could imagine will be in there. If your show is sponsored by somebody who's actually financially contributing to the station, and you have a sponsored show, that'll be indicated on next to sponsor. Next are all of the requirements for your show. So ads. This training program, it's required that you play one ad. Now you'll notice that the box is yellow right now and it says 0 out of 1 because we haven't entered any ads in yet. So once you have entered in ads, it'll say 1 out of 1 or 2 out of 1 or however many you've played, and then it will turn green to indicate that you're good to go for ads. The next one is public service announcements. In the training program, you're required to play 2, and for most shows, it'll be 1 ad and 2 PSAs approximately per hour. And the next thing you have is Canadian content requirements and playlist requirements. Same thing, there'll be a number out of so many. You can have up to 6 per hour, maybe more, and those are based on genre. Once they're fulfilled, they'll turn green. Now, the available friends ads button will show what ads are available that you can play during your show. In this case, there's just one. How this list works is every time an ad is played, it's removed from rotation so that all ads get equal rotation. And once they've all been played, then the list gets refreshed and you can play any ad available. And the required commercials box will indicate if there's a required commercial that you have to play during your show. This type of commercial could be an advertisement for an upcoming event, or if we have a promotion going on or something like that that's for a limited amount of time that needs to be played certain times a day or something like that, it'll be indicated in the required commercials. Now, in order to add things to your log, you're going to want to select first the type of content that you're adding from this drop-down menu, and every category in this drop-down menu is a category that has been chosen by the CRTC, so we're using their same definitions because they're the ones that will be requesting these logs. We might define things slightly differently than they do in our musical tastes or definitions, but we're going to use their definitions because that's going to be the most consistent if we ever are audited or anything like that. So let's find out, for instance, what pop, rock, and dance means. If you're curious, you can click the define button and you'll get this menu with all the different categories, and any ones that are highlighted blue and underlined can be clicked on in order to find out the definition. So let's click on pop, rock, and dance. And in there we'll see that pop, rock, and dance includes pop, rhythm, and blues from the 50s and 60s, soul dance, techno, rap, hip-hop, urban and contemporary R&B, and also includes most forms of rock, from soft rock to heavy metal, punk, classic rock, alternative rock, jazz rock, folk rock, and blues. So you'll be using this definition for the majority of the music you're playing on your show because it's very broadly based. If we go back to definitions, we can find some other definitions that are a little tricky, like about spoken word. Anything that is not news, advertising, or music. Examples are weather, traffic, sports, entertainment reports, also including song introductions. Now, this also includes things like spoken station IDs or introducing your show, as long as it's not musically produced. Now, we do have at the station some musically produced station IDs, and if you have a musically produced station IDs, which means that the music was composed and recorded in the station, then we go back to definitions and we will find category 43 where it says station IDs. Those are musically produced station IDs, and if we go back to the main list drop down, list, it'll actually say musically produced station IDs for category 43. So the majority of the time, you're just going to be doing spoken word IDs. So since that's how you start most shows, let's start with that one. Now you're going to notice that the box right next to the drop-down menu that used to say playlist now will change to minutes. And this is the number of minutes that you're talking for. The smallest increment of time that you can put in is 0.25 minutes, which is 15 seconds. So if you're doing a very quick spoken word ID at the beginning of your show and you introduce yourself and you say you're listening to CKXU 88.3 FM, that's approximately 15 seconds or less, and that's how long you'll enter that in. Now, since your show starts at 1 o'clock, we're assuming that you're going to be starting right on time, so 1 o'clock is when that ID is going to be at. And when you click on title, station ID is an option you'll click on, and then you can insert that line, and it will be added to your list. So what kind of music are you going to be playing on your show, McKay?
I was thinking of playing some metal today.
Okay, so let's say the next thing that you do is you're probably going to introduce what kind of music you're playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you click on the drop-down menu, you'll then want to go back to spoken word. And how long do you think it'll take to introduce a song? Or a set of songs?
Well, the songs have a bit of a story tone, so let's go with 2 minutes.
Okay, so you'll put in the amount of time you're talking for. And then it's still going to be 1 o'clock because that spoken word ID only took 1 minute. Yep. And then when you click title, you're going to select spoken word talk, right?
Because I'm talking about the song that's coming up.
Exactly.
Okay.
And from there you can insert that. Cool. And then you're going to play your very first song. So back to the drop-down menu. And you said it was going to be metal, right?
Yep. And metal is underneath the pop, rock, and dance category.
Yes, it is. So we can click on that. And do you think that you'll metal category, you're required to play 2 Canadian content and 2 playlist songs? So let's just assume that, for the sake of demonstration, the very first song you play is on the playlist.
Okay.
And it is number what?
Let's say it's number 235.
Okay. Now, in case you're wondering, because you're new to the station, the playlist is located in the library. You see it right through the doors when you get in, and all of the CDs or records are labeled with a number, usually on the bottom corner kind of spine of the album, and that's the number that you want to include on the playlist. Now, we also have playlist numbers for the music on our digital library. So if it's a song from digital library that has a playlist number, you also want to include that in the playlist.
Okay.
So since you spoke for 2 minutes after 1, it should be about 1:02 when you start playing this song. And what's the title of this song going to be called?
Let's go with Across the Mountain.
Okay. We can make up song names, and we can make up an artist.
And let's say Fire and Death is the artist.
Perfect. And the album.
Mountain Wind.
Awesome. This sounds
very metal,
like
already.
The greatest album. And the composer field does not need to be filled in unless we're undergoing a SOCAN audit, at which time a banner will appear across the screen and will warn you that we're under audit and these reports need to be done very accurately, and the composer field needs to be filled in as well. So do you think this song is going to be Canadian content as well?
I think it is.
Okay, so let's click on Canadian content. That's what the CC stand for. It's not a hit because you're not allowed to play hits on your show.
Yep. And it never made the top 40.
And it never made the top 40. And because it's a fictional song. And it's not an instrumental. So, and the language is English?
I think it's in German.
Okay, so then we can change that and insert it. So you'll notice that since we've entered a song from the playlist, our playlist requirement has it's still 2, but we've got 1 out of 2 now. And since we've also fulfilled a CanCon requirement, the CanCon requirement has turned green, and it says 1 out of 1. So just a quick visual means that already 1 song into your show, you fulfilled 1 of those requirements, and you only have to play 1 more playlist song now to meet your basic requirements.
And that's nice that a song can do double duty as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So if it's both CanCon and playlist, it counts as 1 for CanCon and 1 for playlist, which I don't know if everybody's familiar with that, but it's a good thing to keep in mind, because if you have 6 CanCon requirements and 6 playlist requirements and an hour to do it in, it's kind of good to double up on those. So from here, let's assume you play a set. It's pretty obvious how you enter that in. So let's actually switch over to what an ad is like. So we saw at the top that drop-down menu showed that you can select Bad Apple. That's the only one left to play. So we'll go down to the drop-down menu where you're actually entering things in, and we can go to commercial. Now, for all intents and purposes, assume that everything is a commercial unless you're told otherwise. So if your show is sponsored specifically, you're going to have a conversation with the station manager or the program director about sponsorship and how you'll be doing that, or if there's a specific ad being run, we'll let you know if it needs to be identified differently. But all Friends ads are going to count as commercials, so don't worry about the identifier and things like that. You want to enter in the time that you play it at. So yeah, we'll guess that the song is about 3 minutes long, and now from this drop down menu you want to select the Bad Apple ad. And this drop-down menu should normally have a list of all the available ads in case you were to play an ad that you weren't necessarily asked to play, but you played it anyways, or you accidentally clicked on the wrong ad and you played it. So you'll always have the option to select any ad that we have available, but you want to go to the available Friends ads to find the ad that you're supposed to play for your show. But if you don't play that ad, or you accidentally play a different ad, you still need to log it. So in the drop-down menu where you're adding things to the log, you want to select that correct ad that you played. But in this case, we're picking the available one. So we'll insert this. And now, if you notice at the top of the screen, we have 1 out of 1 ads fulfilled, and so that has also turned green.
Nice. So I'm almost there.
You're almost there. I think that we've covered quite a few of the things necessary to cover for the program logs. The only other thing we need to talk about is the editing process. At this point, is there anything else that you're curious about before we go on to that?
No, I would assume it would work the same way for PSAs and everything else. But let's say that I made a mistake, and I made a spelling mistake in Across the Mountain, and it actually was Over the Mountain. Okay. How would I fix that? Well,
that's a good question, because we're going to go on to editing next. So we'll click on the edit button, and in the edit screen, you can edit anything that you have put into the log so far. So you can you can change spelling. Let's change Across the Mountain to Over the Mountain. You can change the time. You can change the playlist number. You can change your spoken time. You can change the genre. You can add composer, album, artist. You can change all those fields. CanCon, hits, instrumental, you can check those or uncheck them. You can change the language.
And if I wanted the item to go away entirely,
you can delete it at the end, and it'll turn red, indicating that it's ready to delete. And you can also add a note. So the type of notes that you might want to add here, these are just things, these won't be submitted in the case of an audit, but these are, some DJs have requested this feature, so it was added. And notes can be notes about that particular song, why you played it in a set, things that you can refer to later if it came off of something like you didn't have a whole lot of album information, like it was an electronic song from a like white label kind of release, you might want to put that specifier of like where you came across it or where you found it. So any kind of additional information that you might want to put about the song. Or sometimes people do things like they play more than one song on an album, which technically we ask that people don't do, but they had a really good reason for doing it that day. They might just put a note to the program director or the music director why they did that, or they could put a specific note about the song they played, or if there's content in the song that they think might be called into question at one point in time, they can put a little note in there explaining about that, which is a good proactive thing to do. So we can submit that. Mm-hmm. And now we probably don't want to actually delete something that we just added to, so let's take that off. But before we leave this page, we have to submit changes. So we can change everything we want, click submit changes, and you'll notice the little check mark under edited went away, which means that all the editing we did in that row has now been submitted. So when we return to the edition page, we will see that there's a note added, and over the mountain or across the mountain is changed to over the mountain. The playlist number is changed. All that stuff has been updated. So any other questions? Oh, there was one thing I remembered I wanted to talk about. So some DJs have asked me about the spoken word time and the time that you are starting songs and ending songs. So some people have asked, well, does the spoken word time have to line up between the time that you start an ad and end an ad and everything? Because sometimes DJs will come in at the beginning of their song and be introducing it over the music, or at the outro. So when the song is wrapping up, they'll be saying who that was, or they'll be introducing the new song. And some shows even crossfade one track into another, and they just come over briefly between the two songs and say what show you're listening to or something like that. All of that is okay, and it's completely up to you as a DJ, stylistically, how you want to do your show. But if you do things like that, enter the spoken word time exactly how much time you spoke, or as close as you can get it within 15 seconds. And don't worry about that time lining up with the times that things start or stop, because they don't affect each other. They're two separate lists. So if you talk over top of music, you still want to enter in spoken word time when you talked and for how long. So it doesn't matter if there was also a track playing at the same time. You want to log both of those things as happening. Now your spoken word time will get calculated for you, which is a nice feature. And the very last thing you have to do before you finish is indicate the time that you completed your show, which you need to do manually. And then you click finish episode. Now, one thing I want to point out is if you were to accidentally close your log at any time, it's not a big deal. We did already click finish episode, but if you were to close it halfway through or something and you'd done just that and now it's gone, you can click on Opera, you can load back the DJ portal, you can go into digital program
Holy
logs.
Shit! The only thing that would have made that weirder is if you guys were naked.
Well, thanks.
Okay, alright.
Let's do another take.
Can you give us like 5 minutes? Jeez.
Do you want me to take the other two? I'll just walk you out while these guys do.
Do you want it? Yeah. Oh, that would make my day. It's not too much of a trek, but it's a trek.
Yeah.
You don't want to show me what's like on the desktop or what?
No, this is where we're at.
So you downsize everything and just look at me until I leave.
Just looking at it sheepishly.
Well, we were showing how to
how to
reopen the log.
Yeah.
And then you walked in the door and said, "Oh shit," really loud.
Oh shit.
Do you like how we blocked off your vent? The fuck did you do that? Yeah,
Oh, you put in some.
No.
How did you do that?
because it was
Two-sided
loud.
tape and those adhesive things.
Just taps.
You nards. That's brilliant.
Okay, see you later, skaters.
See you in a bit.
Can you close the door?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I knew he'd do that. Bust in halfway
We're
through.
almost at the end.
Yeah. Okay. So take 4.
Well, it's... Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Take 4. Okay, so if you do accidentally close your log or something like that, you can reopen it and get all the information back. So click on Opera, and then the DJ portal will open back up. Go into digital program logs again, and you type in your username and your password. And like I said earlier, there can only be one program for one date and time. So there can only ever be one log for a specific program at a specific date and time. So if you go to new program log and you go as if you enter it in as if you were accessing that same date and time that we had before, that was at 1 o'clock, and the show was the training program. And we don't have to worry about filling out the description or anything like that again. Just go submit. And there it is.
It's all they're waiting for me.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that you might lose as far as information is if you were right in the middle of typing something in, like the title, the artist, the album, composer, whatever, and anything in this bar that has not been inserted yet, if you accidentally close the screen or something happens, you'll lose that information. But you'll have your the rest of the list still available. Everything's auto-saved pretty much. So that's handy. Did you have any other questions?
No, I think it all makes a lot of sense. And I'm excited to get started on my show.
Awesome. Well, if you do have any other questions, you can feel free to talk to the program director or the station manager at any time.
Cut.
Is that it?